Eventually, after a couple of divorces, or something that happens in your life that's you can't control, then it comes out, and then it's unmanageable. So it's one of the things that I see with people is looking for love in all the wrong places. All these things. Addictions are another one of those things that the reason why I think people, take drugs or alcohol or whatever is when they're in that acute phase in the brain and the GABA receptors are all lit up and you feel calm and peaceful. I think that's one of the times that people actually feel connected to themselves. It's ironic, it's odd, but in general, like anxiety, and here's one of those things that, you're so great at sound bites. Anxiety occurs because you blocked love for yourself. That's really what happens. So one of the things that drugs and alcohol do is they take away some of those blocks. They make you feel connected to yourself.
It's so true. I've never thought about it that way.
People with anxiety and addiction hold hands. Like they are so close together. They both come from childhood wounding, and the alcohol or the drug or whatever allows people to feel connected to themselves. I just had a surgery like 3 weeks ago, and they were putting me under, and they put the mask on my face. And as I went under, and because general anesthetics are dissociative,
right?
They separate from. So as I was going under, I'm saying, okay, I love you, Rusty. I love you, Rusty. I love you, Rusty. And Rusty's my name for my 12-year-old self, right? That suffered at the hands of his dad, who wasn't abusive or violent, but just crazy. And so I just kept saying, I love you, Rusty. I love you, Rusty. I love you, Rusty. And it was just a nice way to kind of go under. And I think that's what ketamine and these psychedelics, I think it's just a way of getting connected to yourself, because that's how you heal, is you become connected to yourself. It doesn't come from outside of you. But we have to have that love from outside of us as well, of course. And, as you talk about, the biggest relationship is the relationship you have to yourself. And as cliche and woo and all that stuff as it sounds, and as a neuroscientist and a medical doctor, I sometimes want to have a seizure when I talk about this because it's just so non-scientific. But love and healing is non-scientific. We can't reduce it down to something that we can reproduce in a science lab. And that's what heals us. So science will help us cope, but I haven't seen really science help us heal. I'm going to give one more thing, and out of all the incredible advancements we've made in neuroscience in the last 15 years, and they have been amazing, very few of those advancements have actually led to different clinical outcomes when you're sitting with a patient. So that's one of the things that I'm kind of disappointed about in science a little bit. But science is very helpful at helping us cope. Physiological side, there's a bunch of things that really help us cope. But to heal, it's an inside job. You really have to learn how to connect with that younger, wounded part of you. And if you don't, you'll always have alarm. You'll always be anxious.
I'd say the one exception is the exciting research in the area of all these psychedelics. But I think you just pointed out the reason why this is the biggest breakthrough. Because when you have a guided therapeutic experience with a ketamine or an MDMA or psilocybin, you have the ability to reconnect and join in with yourself.
Absolutely.
And repair what you say is the original cause of anxiety, which is a situation in childhood where you felt separate from the caregivers whose only job was to make you feel safe and loved and looked after and cared for. And so, I want to go back to, I have this vision of there are these 3 phases as I'm listening to you speak.